Hello guys, I hope everyone is well. I live in Bangladesh. So আজকে যে ভিডিওর উপর রিঅ্যাকশন দেব সেই ভিডিওটি হলো ট্রাক ড্রাইভিং ইন অস্ট্রেলিয়া, রোড ট্রেনস এন্ড দেয়ার কমপ্লেক্স রুল। সো চলো এই ভিডিওটি দেখি তারপরে কথা বলি। সো স্টার্ট।
Looking at the way of life in Australia, one might wonder about the many peculiarities of the people down under. Because it's very similar in size to the United States of America, you'd think there would be many similarities with the land of the free. But the deeper you delve, the more you realize how different the two are. And especially when it comes to the trucking industry. There's regulations for everything: the number of hours you can drive, truck length, maximum payload, and much more. With a population of up to 24 million, a number that's much less significant than the 333 million people living in the US. The fact that most of this population resides in the east of the nation means that there is a need for regulations on the freight that moves through the east coast of the nation. Considering the fact that the nation relies on this to move its goods around, there are a plethora of rules that the country applies to highways down under. So, in today's video, we'll look at truck driving rules in Australia and what it's like to be a truck driver there. And trust me, it's very different from the US and Europe. In fact, it's bound to blow your minds. A large majority of Australia's freight runs through the south, from the city of Melbourne through to Brisbane. In the southeast and Sydney to the south. There are a handful of cities in between though, which makes the freight routes in Australia quite diverse. So depending on the city that you wish to take your freight to, the route may change accordingly, and these varied routes call for the need to use different types of trucks depending on how the terrain is. These types range from small to medium-sized and large trucks depending on what they're delivering. Heavier goods are delivered in long-nosed trucks that can travel very long distances within the highways due to their stronger power engines and torque. On the other hand, the lighter freight is transported in cab over trucks, perfectly designed for the cities as they are a lot easier to maneuver in the smaller city streets. Conventional trucks that take large amounts of goods across the country are called road trains. They are made of a minimum of 3 44-foot trailers, hauling a 120-ton load across the flat highways of the Australian Outback. These road trains can also have up to 6 trailers in total. With all that said, let's go down to some regulations these trucks and the truck drivers face. No driver can haul goods for more than 12 hours in a day in total, even in shorter stretches, with 30-minute intervals being taken every 4 hours. However, ask any truckie and they'd tell you that that's a bunch of jargon, as they've never really followed these rules, despite having a logbook for their activities, a logbook called the Book of Lies, go figure. But of course there has to be some reason for these limitations in place, and the first of those is that the temperature goes as high as 48 degrees Celsius in the dry Australian Outback. But the rain can also fall as hard here as it can anywhere in the world. This makes it important to maintain high-value tires that can withstand rugged roads. This also requires the truckies to carry a large number of supplies such as food, water, and fuel in the event that anything unexpected occurred during this trip. They also need to have what is known as a bull bar in front of these road trains, as animals as large as kangaroos wander onto the roads, and these accidents can sometimes be more harmful to the driver than these nearly 200-pound animals. You wouldn't believe how many truck accidents that happen in Australia because of kangaroos crossing roads. Considering these things to look out for, there are still quite a handful of rules that the truckies are subject to once they hit the highways. For example, while we mentioned that trailers are often around 44 feet in length, they can be as long as 53 feet, but no more than that. And while most of them are supported by tri-axle combinations, trucks with quad-axle combinations aren't that uncommon either. The length laws also made a large number of truckies drive trucks with single units or stock cartridge to wiggle their way out of them. Now you might think these are just way too many rules and no one follows them, but there are some pretty heavy punishments when truckies or their employees disobey some of these strict rules. Both the employees and their employee truckies could be held responsible by law if the truckies are found driving overloaded or overweight trucks, or were caught overspeeding on the highways. Yikes. So, as you might have caught on, there's a mountain of rules of conduct driving that truckers in Australia need to follow, mostly determined by the long distances some of these drivers have to cover, most of them focused on the efficiency that the country relies on. And although the drivers face some problems, This law may be in the best interest of everyone involved in the thankless act of trucking, but needless to say, it's a quite different approach to trucking than in most parts of the world. Well, that's a wrap for this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to never miss any of our future updates. Till then, goodbye.
So, বন্ধুরা ভিডিওটি দেখলাম খুবই সুন্দর লাগলো ট্রাক ড্রাইভিং ইন অস্ট্রেলিয়া অনেকগুলো রুলস রয়েছে সব কান্ট্রিতে কোনো রুলস থাকে ড্রাইভিং এর রুলস থাকে সেমনি ট্রাক ড্রাইভার বা রোড ট্রেনের জন্য অস্ট্রেলিয়াতে যে রুলসগুলো রয়েছে সেই রুলসগুলো দেখলাম আমার কাছে ভিডিওটি খুবই ভালো লাগছে চমৎকার লাগছে ফার্স্ট টাইম আমি দেখলাম রোড ট্রেনস তো এরপরে আমরা রোড ট্রেনসের অনেক ভিডিও দিব বাট আমি দেখলাম এর ভিডিও আসছে নাকি যদি ভিডিও থাকে তাহলে প্লিজ আমার কমেন্টে সাজেস্ট করেন বা ডেসক্রিপশনে আমার জিমেল দেওয়া আছে তো জিমেলে যান জিমেলে যে আমাকে সাজেস্ট করেন রোড ট্রেনসের ভিডিও আমি রোড ট্রেনসের ভিডিও দেখবো জীবনে কখনোই আমি রোড ট্রেনসের ভিডিও দেখি নাই বা রোড ট্রেনস দেখি নাই তো ফার্স্ট টাইম দেখবো দেখে আমি আপনাদের সাথে শেয়ার করবো সো ভিডিওটি যদি ভালো লাগে তাহলে প্লিজ লাইক করবেন এন্ড কমেন্ট করবেন আর এই ভিডিওটি যেই চ্যানেল থেকে না হচ্ছে ওই চ্যানেলটি হলো গো ট্রাক ইউরসেলফ তো চ্যানেল লিংক ডেসক্রিপশনে থাকবে এবং এই ভিডিও লিংক ডেসক্রিপশনে থাকবে আপনারা যাবেন যে ভিডিও দেখবেন এবং অরিজিনাল ক্রিয়েটরকে সাপোর্ট করবেন সবাই ভালো থাকবেন হ্যাভ এ গুড ডে অ্যান্ড গুড বাই